Hello everyone, welcome to the Valley News Now desk. Duke Schindler joining you here on this Monday afternoon as we're seeing some temps. It's pretty nice out there, having a great time, and obviously we're going to be diving into a lot of sports here. We had an absolutely stacked weekend, and now tournament time is just around the corner, especially collegiately for basketball as well as hockey. So let's dive right into things and start with one of the greatest stories we've seen this season. That's going to be the North Dakota State women's basketball team, and they took a surprising loss to South Dakota State last week. That's saying a lot considering they're the number 2 seed in the Summer League tournament. But the Bison women's basketball team finishing up their regular season right here in Fargo in what's already been an outstanding season for them. Recently, just losing that 23-game win streak that took it all the way back to November. And they took on the neighbors of Grand Forks here to round out Summit League play and the regular season. Now they took a 25-point win over UND, and they really only had a 1-point lead heading into half. Then a shot of adrenaline must have hit. North Dakota State then outscored UND 56-32 in the final 2 quarters. Not to mention Avery Conan has been nothing short of spectacular this season. You see it right there on the graphic, right there. 29 points, 15 rebounds for the junior. That includes 16 free throws. Got to the line a lot, and she hit 13 of those. But the whole team showed out as well. It's not just a one-person show here at North Dakota State. 5 double-digit scores. That includes Conan in what is already a really whistle-happy game. Now, they're going to need to take that type of effort across the board and heading into the Summit League, as we're close to the finish line in terms of the NCAA tournament. But Summit League, they're starting off in just a couple days here, as North Dakota State will play the winner of Omaha or North Dakota, and that's going to be tipping off at 2:30. So I want to bring up the Summit League tournament bracket here just so we can see what we're really looking at. Let's pull it up right now. Bring myself down a little bit here. All right. So this is what we are looking at after I get rid of this graphic. All right, perfect. And we head back to things here. As you can see from the bracket, you got your North Dakota State Bison at that number 1 seed, and they're going to be playing the winners, like I said, of Omaha and North Dakota. Now it makes it for an interesting bracket. As you see at the top there, South Dakota State, the number 2 seed. And as I said, a surprising loss to South Dakota State, but that's obviously saying a lot for these Jackrabbits, putting up a great season themselves. Hopefully, we get to see a North Dakota State, South Dakota State final and maybe get a little bit of revenge. They're taking on Kansas City. Then it's going to be South Dakota, the Coyotes, facing Denver. These games are going to be played March 5th and March 6th here, with the quarterfinals coming up March 7th. That's going to be this Saturday. So a lot to look forward to here as we move into the men's side of things. Now, they earned a top spot as well in the Summit League bracket, but they also had a game against North Dakota State here. Or not North Dakota State, North Dakota. So let's pull this up and see. 96-63, an absolute backbreaker coming from the North Dakota State Bison, really taking it to UND here. But just like the women's, they really only had a 1-point lead, a very short lead heading into half. Excuse me. Pure domination. It was pure domination. A 33-point win at the Shield Center. They put a cherry on top of what has already been a fantastic season for the men's side of things, and they're really going to need that type of momentum heading into the Summit League tournament, because as we all know, the NCAA tournament takes absolutely no prisoners in these mid-major colleges. However, for the game itself, the senior Tay Smith led the way versus UND, 28 points and 6 rebounds. Then Damari Wheeler-Thomas, he's been steady almost all year, put up another impressive game, 19 points for him. So they stay as top of the Summit League, the Bison do, and having the 1 seed heading into this Summit League tournament, they're going to play the winner of Oral Roberts and Kansas City. That Bison game is going to be played at March 5th at 6 p.m. Now let's take a look at the bracket and see what we are looking at here for the men's side of things. We'll bring up our bracket here. As you can see, North Dakota State, they got that #1 seed. Going to be playing March 5th, 6 p.m. as the winner of Oral Roberts and Kansas City will be playing and duking it out for a chance to face the #1 seed. Then you got the #4 Coyotes. They'll be playing Omaha, and that's going to be a big one. I'm sure NDSU is going to be looking for revenge, hopefully meeting up with St. Thomas in the title game. They, as in the Tommies, really took it to the Bison here not too long ago, this past week. So it should be a great tournament, or I guess a great regular season leading up to this tournament. As you can see, UND, they're the #3 seed, and North Dakota State really took it to them there. Not too bad, not too bad. And that a lot of these games are going to be played March 4th and March 5th for the Tommies, South Dakota State, Friday, March 6th for UND Denver. And then looks like the other Thursday game will be North Dakota State. So got a lot of excitement heading into the tournament here and a potential NCAA tournament bid at large here. So a lot to look forward to here as we move into tournament season. And we'll bring it back here because we got some Minnesota Timberwolves to talk. They have seen a same face and a familiar face because welcome back Kyle Anderson to the Minnesota Timberwolves as the team announced his signing earlier today after agreeing to a buyout with Memphis. That helps Anderson return back to Minnesota. But a nice little wrinkle in this too. Anderson actually chose the Wolves over the Denver Nuggets when he was looking at options for his next team. And the two teams were actually in action yesterday afternoon. Minnesota, they're definitely wanting to see a win here because, well, Denver has taken it to them the first 3 matchups of this season. And it should have been a great one here heading to Denver. 7-9, Denver Nuggets up 2. Drop off to Jokic. What a slam. Oh my goodness. Looking good there from the Nuggets. They got a 2-point lead. Then the up and under from Jokic on top of that too. Man, he has been just an absolute animal. But how about this? Bones Highland from 3. He actually went 5 of 5 from the field. And on top of that too, let me bring it up here so we can get a little bit of reaction to things. He was 5 for 5 from the field and 3 of 3 from 3, 15 points at half. Then you see Jaden McDaniels getting to his spot. Anywhere within that 5 to 10 foot range, he's been automatic. Let's send it out to Anthony Edwards. Oh yeah, baby. 45 to 38, taking a little bit of the lead here. And then check this out. Jelly work at its finest. Naz Reid to the bucket. How about that from the big man center? Can't complain about that. Look at it. All smiles from Naz. And, ooh, check this out. The inside-out dribble gets Cam Thomas on his heels straight to the rack for the and-one bucket. Now, Denver kind of hanging around here. Wolves only have a 10-point lead. But a little too late here for Denver. Anthony Edwards making room and just tossing up a shot that is going down for the bad man number 5. Take another look at this. Just pulls up over Tim Hardaway Jr., the absolute Wolves killer, by the way. Well, now we move back in. Minnesota up 9 here, 1:40 left, and here it is. Edwards, just kidding, over to McDaniels with the floater to put the nail in the coffin. You see Finch dabbing up. Nikola Jokic right there, David Adelman. Great win for your Minnesota Timberwolves. That actually puts them in sole possession of the #4 seed in the Western Conference. And if I believe in my memory serves correctly, let me take a peek. We should, or as in the Timberwolves, should be tied, and yes they are, with the 3-seeded Rockets. So we are just right there, and only almost 20 games remaining for most teams. On top of that, the Wolves got the Grizzlies up next, Raptors, and Magic for our next 3 slates here. That's going to wrap up things in the basketball world side of things. So let's move over to UND hockey. They've had a nice little season themselves and the #1 seed in the NCHC upcoming tournament here. So they had a big matchup here over the Western Michigan Mustangs here as I try to pull up the bracket here. All right. Awesome. UND, they split the series with number 4 Western Michigan this past weekend. Saturday's game actually heading to overtime before an Owen Michaels goal would send UND home. But now they're looking towards the Frozen Face-Off tournament at the NCHC as UND is slated as that number 1 seed in this tournament. And it's the best of 3 as they take on Omaha. Let's pull up the bracket for you here, giving you a good look at what we're seeing here. This is going to be coming up pretty soon. Welcome to tournament time. You see it right there. The number 1 seeded Fighting Hawks and UND, they face off against Omaha. Then they take on the winner. If they make it past that first round, it's a best of 3 series. It's going to be against the winner of St. Cloud State, the alma mater, and UMD, Minnesota Duluth. On the bottom half of the bracket, you got Colorado College and Western Michigan coming in as the 3 seed. Finally, wrapping things up, it's Miami of Ohio taking on Denver University. Looking good, looking good. We love tournament time here. This is what it's all about. And you can't guarantee anything, especially in the NCHC. All those teams have been fantastic this year. And, well, when it all comes down to it, anything can happen come tournament time, just like we saw in high school state hockey. Now, the girls and boys hockey tournament being held at Shields Arena, and a couple of area teams bringing home first place honors after a crazy run by a particular team that made just as impressive as a run last year. Well, let's start on the boys' side of things. As you can see right here, Grand Forks Central goes back-to-back in the state tournament. And yes, the 1 and 2 seeds in the East, as well as Grand Forks Finest, facing off for the hardware. This one, although was kind of put to bed early, Central jumped out to a 3-0 advantage through the likes of Ryder Rivert. He scored just 10 seconds into the game, by the way. Then, just over 2 minutes later, barely over 2 minutes later, it was Brody Ledage making it 2-0. Then, at the end of the period, one of the heroes of this tournament, Wyatt Blake, adding number 3 to the scoreboard. The two teams would end up trading goals in the second and third periods, but the Knights are the ones that hoist the hardware in a 5-2 win. That is your state champions on the boys' side of things. Moving over to the girls' side. Whoo, what a game from West Fargo. What a tournament from West Fargo. The 5 seed taking down number 4 Bismarck Century in the quarterfinals. The number 1 seed Fargo North South in the semis in overtime, by the way. Then the 2 seed Grand Forks Central Red River. They were in the finals, and they, as in West Fargo, they were in the finals last year as a Cinderella team and recapturing that same magic. But this time, they finished the job. 0-0 heading into the second period before Peyton Stalker broke this one open with the second period goal to take the lead. Then, just 35 seconds left in that second period, Rachel Spainer tickled the twine, slap shot that would give them the 2-0 lead. And that really left it all up to the goalie, Reagan Wilson. She finished this one with 23 saves and allowing just 1 goal there in the third period. Definitely had to put the clamps down in those final 10-plus minutes, but West Fargo, they grabbed their first ever state title with the co-op label. Congratulations, ladies. What an absolute tournament run. This is something you really dream of and tell future generations. You beat the 4, the 1, and the 2 seed en route to the state tournament final and grabbing it, taking it home on top of that. Well, thank you very much for joining us here on your Sports Overtime segment. It's been nothing but a pleasure giving you caught up on some Fargo Moorhead sports. If you have any suggestions on what we should do next sports-wise here on the desk, feel free to reach out to Valley News Live. And to never miss another Sports Overtime, get that VNN News app on your smartphone or mobile device. Available Apple or Android, of course. And if you got a smart TV, you can tune in at any time through Roku, Fire Stick, and Apple TV. Thank you very much for joining us here on Sports Overtime for Duke Schindler. We'll catch you later.